Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd also be interested in further responses to Senator Whitehouse's questions, and I'm going to come back to that actually in just a second. Let me start, though, by asking about the recent controversy involving 37 Planned Parenthood offices applying for and receiving funds under the Paycheck Protection Program despite their ineligibility. Just a quick review of the facts here. The CARES Act states that nonprofits are eligible for the program only if they and their affiliate organizations have no more than 500 employees. Now, Planned Parenthood has 16,000 employees nationwide, which is 37 times the threshold. And there's no doubt that each of the 37 Planned Parenthood offices who applied for the funds knew that they were affiliated because their own documents claim that they're affiliated. In fact, Planned Parenthood's most recent financial statement describes it as one national branch with 55 Planned Parenthood affiliates, 110 ancillary entities that are, and I'm quoting now, controlled by those Planned Parenthood affiliates, end quote. Despite knowing all this, 37 separate Planned Parenthood entities applied for and received, and therefore diverted, $80 million from actual small business during this global pandemic. So let me just ask you, Mr. Hughes, I'm not going to ask you to comment or reveal any details of any ongoing investigation, but let me just ask you generally, if an organization that knows it is ineligible for a program nonetheless applies, falsely certifies its eligibility, and receives tens of millions of dollars in taxpayer money meant for somebody else, do we have a criminal conduct issue?
Thank you, Senator, for your question. And again, you're right. I'm unable to talk about specific investigations or the existence of specific investigations. However, the way the department is approaching these cases is the application for these loans is pretty simple. In fact, the part you fill out is literally just 2 pages. And there are a number of representations on that about the number of employees you have and your monthly average payroll. And the nature of your business, and then there are a couple certifications such as criminal charges and convictions over the last 5 years. I believe that's the time period. There are some other information on there, but those inputs were specifically designed to be objective measures that could be quickly looked at and scrutinized for the purposes of determining whether an applicant intentionally misrepresented something material about their business that would allow us to proceed with charging and prosecuting swiftly. So we go with the facts and the law, command us to go in each of our investigations, and so this is just an area that, like unemployment benefits programs, we are focusing the department's law enforcement and prosecutorial resources.
So what you're telling us is that the application is designed to be simple. It's designed to be very factual, right? I mean, it's not supposed to be a matter of interpretation. It is, do you comply or not comply? Here are the standards. Tell us what the facts are. Do you meet the threshold or not? Have I got that right? I mean, that's the basic design of the
generally,
the
and it is not an application which receives a lot, needs to receive a lot of due diligence on the part of the lender from the beginning. Again, so really all the misrepresentation, the burden of that is on the applicant.
What about executives of the organization or other decision makers who may have known about or signed off on any fraudulent application? And when I say the organization, again, I'm not asking you to talk about any particular investigation to confirm or deny its existence, but in general, if you have an organization where you have top executives who've signed off on this, would there be potential liability for them?
I think the traditional legal standards that apply to corporate liability and individual liability for corporate actions apply with equal force in this, with respect to prosecutions of this program.
Very good. Well, thank you for that. Look forward to seeing the progress of your inquiries over time. Let me come back to the unemployment question that Senator Whitehouse was asking about. Mr. Hughes, I'll direct this to you, or Mr. D'Ambrosio. Do you have any sense of how much money has been lost through fraud in the unemployment insurance piece of CARES, and has DOJ had any success in recovering any of those funds to date?
Senator, I don't have a specific amount of what essentially has been lost. I could tell you, I spoke previously anecdotally from some of the financial institutions that we're working with, over about 100 of them. We've been told that an alert that we put out in mid-May prevented over about $500 million of fraud alone. So that just kind of gives you a sense of the particular scope. We have been successful in recovering some money.
You have been, did you say?
We have been.
Yes.
We have been successful. We returned approximately, through an investigation, about $30 million to the state of Michigan. So there are cases where this has been, we've seen some success, and we're continuing to work very diligently on these cases. One, to identify; two, to recover the funds, and then eventually prosecute these individuals for this activity.
Does anybody else have anything to add to that?
Senator, the only thing I'd add is that, you know, this is a big and growing focus for the department. We're coordinating in Senator Whitehouse's district, the U.S. Attorney's Office there, the U.S. Attorney's offices in other jurisdictions, including Washington. We are coordinating closely with both the Secret Service, the FBI, and other law enforcement. We're also coordinating with the financial industry. As the Assistant Director noted, some of the quickest tool is to get the financial institutions where these payments that are the rails through which these payments travel, to identify this activity and to work with us and state authorities to stop these payments, especially when they're traveling overseas.
Very good. My time has expired. I've got some additional questions on this front, which I will submit to the record. Thank you all for your service and being here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.